Let's move that out the way. Hey, fantasy nerds, back with another live stream. Today, I'm going to talk about a discovery of witches. And I finished reading the book. I finished reading the book about a week ago, but my life has been lifing lately. But I'm going to compare the first book, which is called The Discovery of Witches, to the first season of The Discovery of Witches, the AMC TV show. Yes, it's old. I just discovered it and I binge watched it in one night. So I feel like if I'm ready to talk about it, everybody must talk about it with me. Okay. So I can't see anything, but let's see. Let's get started with our first picture. All right. So you see that's Matthew and Diana, the star-crossed lovers of our show. Um and do-do-do-do-do. So basically, I kicked my camera. Let me move this back. Oh goodness gracious. So happens. Kick the camera. Okay, so let's start. So the book concentrates on just Matthew and Diana. You really don't see, like in the TV show, you see the congregation, you see Agatha and all. And don't worry, I have pictures for all of that. So when, when I talk about all those people, I'll pull it up. But you don't see all these other people. You don't see Gerbert and Domenico and Juliet. You don't see all of these other people's storylines going on in the book. It's just Matthew and Diana, and it's really told just from Diana's point of view. You only see Matthew's point of view a few times, not very often, not very often. Long stretches go on before we see Matthew's point of view. So Matthew is a vampire, Diana is a witch. In this world, there are humans, demons, witches, and vampires. And one thing that I watched 3 seasons of this show to find out what were the demons' powers, because we saw the vampire powers, we saw the witches' powers, but what were the demon powers? And after 3 seasons, I still had no idea. So that was a big reason why I wanted to uh, read the books to find out what are demon powers. Guess what? Demon powers are that they're really, really super creative. Demons are creative. That's it. They're artists. They're artists. Except for Hamish, Matthew's best friend, the demon best friend, he works in finance. He uses his creativity to make a whole lot of money. So, okay, so we got Matthew and Diana. Going to my notes. Yeah, so you basically, the show gives you the feeling of the conflict that you just don't realize while reading the book, because you're stuck in Matthew and Diana's world, and you really don't see any of those other things. Like, for example, when Domenico shows up to Septors, like in the show, we saw what happened beforehand and we saw what happened after, like with the congregation. He was sent by the congregation. In the book, he just shows up as Septors, like they're at Septors, they're living their life, and then boom, there's Domenico. And then he goes away, and then you don't see what happens with him. But you just see Matthew sending him away. And oh, what was I had a point. Also, Matthew has no idea who's on the congregation. So no mention of Baldwin being in charge of the congregation and that it's in favor of the de Claremonts, because he don't even know who's on the congregation. He knows Domenico. He's fought with him in the wars back when he was, fighting. He was, back when they first started the Knights of Lazarus and blah, 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 blah. It's like they know, I mean, they know all the vampires because they've been living for thousands of years. But he didn't know who was on. He didn't know he was on the congregation. He didn't know who was on the congregation. So that's very different from the TV show. But he does still force Baldwin to do his will, by calling on him as a knight of Lazarus. Um, Also in the book, Hamish is already a knight of Lazarus. He makes him his, I've already forgotten it, sentinel. He makes him his sentinel. So basically, Hamish was a knight of Lazarus, but he was never supposed to be called on to fight. But he calls on him because of what's going on with Diana, blah, 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 blah. Because everything must be sacrificed for Diana. And this is what you get from the book. I saw a video. I didn't watch the video, but I saw a like basically the thumbnail and the title, and they basically were calling a discovery of witches Twilight with eugenics, and I was like, okay, that's kind of true, because in this book, even though I've never read Twilight, I've never seen the movies, but I've watched videos of people talking about the movies and the books. And he's very Matthew is very Edward coded in the books for sure. In the books, definitely, but also in the TV show, he's very. But you know what? I really I felt it more in the books than on the show. When I read the book, he really felt Edward coded. I was like, okay. At the beginning of the book, I didn't really like Matthew. He's a lot kinder in the show. And maybe that's because we don't really get to see in his head like we do in the book, because everybody starts off with their prejudices, and he has major prejudices against witches, but it also feels contradictory because he allows a witch to live in his house and conduct yoga classes for witches, demons, and vampires 3 times a week in his house in the country. So, so we see Matthew and Diana. Matthew brings Diana to these yoga classes because Diana is someone who has to work out a lot. Hi, Ninja YT. Hi, Peanut. See, I'm on Restream today, so I can show your comments. but but so so because of this, because of not seeing the other storylines, the other conflicts, and because you spend so much time with Matthew and Diana, by the time you get halfway through the book, which is really like the same as halfway through the plot on the TV show, when they say I love you, you believe it because they've spent all this time together, and you've spent all this time with them and watched them falling in love. Whereas the show took away some of that time to show the other conflict, and basically they had to have stakes, because otherwise you know the stakes are out there, but you can't see them. You know, like that there's these things looming around Matthew and Diana, but they're not in your face. So like the TV show had to show it. So by the time they say I love you on the TV show, you're like, I wish this would have came in episode 6 or 7, like more towards the end. But when you read the book, you see why it happened halfway through, because the second half of the book really sort of kicks up why they have to have this whole conflict going on with everyone, blah 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 blah. And then I talked about the yoga classes. I think I said I love you. Okay, so yeah, the time span is the same within the book and the show. And when I say that, I mean, like, when they say I love you, by the time they say I love you in the book and they say I love you on the show, you would have seen the same plot points play out. The difference is you get less Matthew and Diana screen time on the show than you do in the book. We get page time in the book. Let's see. Oh, the demons. Okay, so Agatha, the demon on the congregation, in the book, she's Australian. Her and her son is Australian. Her son's baby mama, I don't know if that's his wife. They never say it, but probably his wife. She's American. So, but on the show, let's bring them up so you can see them. Okay, so this is Agatha. So in the book, she's Australian. And then when we scroll down, let's see. Okay, you see this. This is her son. Her son is Australian. Oh, dag, they cut off Hamish. But this, oh, that's my picture of Hamish. Okay, I'll move it. I'll move it. So like you're supposed to be able to move it. Oh, they're not allowing me to move it. Okay, whatever. On this edge is Hamish, the other demon. These are like the basic four demons on the show. Agatha, her son, the girl. I don't know their names. One thing you gotta learn about me is it's amazing that I know that her name is Agatha. I do not remember characters' names in TV shows. I don't know. The reason why I can remember Matthew is because the name of the actor who plays him is Matthew. So that was easy. So Matthew and Diana, and they make a big deal of her name being Diana, the goddess of the hunt or whatever, you know. So they make a big deal out of Diana's name. So I can remember that. Okay. And this is the place where the congregation meets in is I think it's Venice. Um I think it's Venice. Hold on. Sorry. I'm trying to get rid of something. This is so annoying. Um there we go. Okay. I'm looking at my notes. But yeah, so it's definitely in Italy. It's in Italy. It may be Venice. Not quite sure. This is what the inside looks like when they meet. The congregation meet. There's three demons, three witches, and three vampires. But again, we really don't get that until near the end of the book, where the little pregnant demon um, points out, you know, the. Let me get to the end of the book first. Well, I don't do these in chronological order. So at the end of the book, it is the same at the end of by the end of the series. They all go to Sarah's house in Madison. Now this is Madison, New York, because I am a Midwesterner. Whenever they said Madison, I thought Madison, Wisconsin. I was like, they got witches in Madison, Wisconsin, but no, they're in Madison, New York. That was hilarious because they just say Madison on the TV show, but in the book they make a big deal of it being New York. So they're in New York, not in Wisconsin. Anyway, so at the end, when they go to here, let's show her when they're at Sarah's house in Madison, New York. And by this time, I'm trying to think, they were I it they didn't come together all at once like it happens in the show. It's sort of they sort of trickled in, but eventually they have this thing where the pregnant demon says, we have like, I can't remember the name she called it, but basically what she was saying is it's almost like an antithetical um congregation, because they had three witches, they had three demons, and they had three vampires. And they were like, we could, and you know, back in old times, if you had this, they could challenge the congregation, blah blah blah. Basically setting up that they were going to challenge the congregation in her little thing. Of course, that doesn't happen in the first book. So I'm still on the waiting list for the second book. Yes, I get my books from the library still. But and it's I'm signed up with two libraries in two different cities. And I am on the wait list at both because this book is very, very popular. Like I'm number 45 on one list, 23 on another. That's how many people are ahead of me. So we'll see. We'll see how fast people read. Um, okay. Oh, and also with the demons. Okay, these demons are Daemon, not Demon. It's 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 a difference. It's a difference. Because like I said, these demons are very creative and artistic, and they have no other powers other than just being creative and artistic. Okay. So, doo-doo-doo-doo. I talked about Hamish. Yeah. I just found it funny that vampires have powers, witches have powers, and demons are just super creative. Like, how does being super creative and artistic not make you human? Because they make a big deal out of humans and vampires and witches and demons having different DNA sequences, and they can look at your DNA sequence and see where you're different, and you know what, and they can even see what powers these witches have. And they even in the book they describe how, because like, on the TV show, they talked about it on the TV show about like the vampire that turns you, that becomes your parent. So Isabel was Matthew's vampire mother, and Matthew was Marcus's vampire father. But um they've really become genetically related, because when they make them into vampires, their DNA floods their body and changes, their actual DNA changes because they're born human. But then when their vampire turns them, when their blood, floods their body, it changes their DNA. They become vampires, and they become genetically related to the person who turned them. So the book and the TV show. I talked about Isabeau, but didn't show her. Let's bring up Isabeau. The book and the TV show to me feels very much like it's a half and a half for me. It's definitely fantasy and science fiction. Like the fantasy is the vampires, witches, demons. That's fantasy. But the science fiction comes in when they start talking about the DNA and being able to trace, the witches' families through the DNA, and just look at all of the power. So like they looked at Diana's DNA and saw that she had markers to show that she had every single power that ever existed in witches. And that hasn't that I don't know if that's ever happened, but it definitely hasn't happened in hundreds of years. Witches' powers have been dying, like they've been dying off. It's kind of like an evolution thing, where as they don't use their powers, each generation after them has less and less powers. So all of a sudden she pops up with all the powers. So she's a very, very special witch. And they really don't want the congregation to find this out, because the congregation is already like, in the TV show, they make it that the congregation is after them because you know, because of the book, because of Ashmole 782, because she called this alchemical special book that everybody wants because it could tell them how they were created. And because her and Matthew were breaking a covenant. Whereas in the book, they basically only want her because of the Ashmole 782. They want that book. That's how deep it is. They really want that book. So they don't want the congregation to find out about all these genetic findings they have, because then they're going to really want her. They're going to really want her. So much happened. So much happened on the show. It's amazing how much they were able to, because like I can't remember how many episodes, because there was only 25 episodes across all 3 seasons. So it was amazing how much they were able to stuff into 7 or 8 episodes each season. Okay, where was I? Oh, okay. Also in the book, they make a distinction between magic and witchcraft. Like they're 2 separate things. Like Diana was good with her magic, but she was bad at witchcraft, which was like spells and potions and things. But she was good at magic, which was like her witch water, witch fire, time walking, things like that. She was very good at magic, but not so good at witchcraft. Um, and it's going to be interesting to see how they talk about that in the second book when I finally get it. so also in the book, it's very different how they portray the witch water. Like in the show, it's just rain just comes down, whereas in the book, the witch water comes out of her. It comes out of her. It's like it comes out of her eyes, it comes out of her hair, it comes out of her hands. She opens her mouth to speak and water just gushes out of her mouth. It's just coming from her, and it's enough water. She is on the roof of one of the towers of Septors, and she floods the whole roof. There is just water everywhere. That's how much water. And the witch fire is invisible. Um in the book, it's very much like Superman's heat vision. You can't see it because she was in the middle. The first time she calls up Witchfire, she was in the middle of a fight with her aunt Sarah. This woman, she was in a fight with her aunt Sarah over Matthew because Sarah was, basically they were fighting over Matthew. She was, in her insides, like it was like her instincts took over, and her instinct was to protect Matthew. So she called up some witchfire, and then her other auntie, her aunt's girlfriend. I don't know. I don't think they ever got married. So her aunt's girlfriend, Emily, could tell she was calling up witchfire because she had seen someone when she was younger call it up before. So she could tell by the way the motion she was doing, and I think there was some it was some other tell that she could tell that she was calling up witchfire. So she was calming her down like, sweetie, put that down. You don't want to do this. And so like the next time you see her call up the witchfire, she does it with Juliet. And okay, let's see. Where's Juliet? Juliet. She does it with Juliet. And when Juliet comes out, but on the TV show, she just shot her with one arrow, whereas in the book, she shot her with several. She had to shoot her with several arrows, but she still burnt to death. And like I think the did the body disappear? I can't remember if the body disappeared in the TV show, but they had to get rid of that body in the book. um, but if you recognize Juliet, this is the girl that Harry Potter was flirting with at the beginning of Half Blood Prince. She's a vampire. And then going back to Emily, I love. She's been on the woman who plays her. She's been on so many shows. Of course, the show I've known her from is Half and Half. Yes, that was the show. Half and Half, where she plays a stepmother. Well, yeah, she plays a stepmother to one of the girls, and a mother to the other. But I love her. I have a character in my fantasy book, this book right here, that I want her to play when I make it into a movie. I see her in that character. I see her very much. Okay, so yeah. Okay, so and okay, so back to the end of the book. When they get ready to time walk into the past, you do like in the on the TV show when they're getting ready to time walk, they literally cut back and forth between Matthew and Diana. Oh, wow. She okay. Who okay, I'm mixing it up. There we go. Emma Frost gifted 5 memberships. Thank you, Emma Frost. And so she received one. And then Mouse Iric. Is it Mouse Trick or Mouse Iric? And then let's see, Yaz Mamadou Meh received one. Who else? the Informant Media received one, and Gary DeBrown received one. Hola, hello, Emma Frost. Thank you so much. That was so sweet. Thank you so much for that. Now that I get some more members, I'm gonna have to do a members live for all of the members, a special members live. Okay. And we can talk about whatever you want to talk about. Okay. So yeah, so they literally cut back and forth between between Matthew and Diana getting ready to time walk, and those three, I think it was Gerbert, Peter Knox, and Satu. Oh, let's see. I did not show Gerbert. Let's see. Where is Gerbert? Because every time I hear his name, I think of gerbil. I think of Gerbert, like he's a French gerbil. And then do. Okay, here's Peter Knox and Satu. The three of them were coming on, was like closing in on Matthew and Diana on the TV show right as they time walked. But because this was the end of the book, and you really couldn't have a cliffhanger. Like, you can have a cliffhanger, but not like that in a book. They just showed them time walking, and you don't see them end up in wherever they end up. You just see them time walk, and they disappear. So so yeah, that's just, to me, that's just the show again incorporating great conflict. And that's one of the things I liked about the show, because like, even though the show was very different from, well, it's not very different from the book. It had the same plot points, and that was great. By adding the things that they added, they didn't change the plot points of the show. They just showed you all the stuff you didn't see going on. So it was like all this stuff was happening while Matthew and Diana was together, but reading the book, you couldn't see that. So they just showed you what you did not see in the book. And it really feels like this all comes from the same world. This, like, it's all the same story. It doesn't feel like they just made this up whole cloth, wholesale, and just threw it into the show. It really does feel the same. So I was very surprised when I read the book and started realizing, oh, they're not going to show us this other stuff. They made up this stuff completely for the show. That was that shows that they have some good writers on that show. And yeah, so I'm not mad at any of the changes the show made. I feel like they didn't make changes so much as they definitely softened Matthew. He was definitely softened. I feel he was a lot more likable throughout the show. In the show, that, like, the beginning, Matthew was like, although that Matthew did break into her house too, the Matthew in the book broke into her house while she was there sleeping, while she was asleep in her house. He broke into it. It's crazy. It was it felt very stalkerish, even though in the show he did the same thing. It's like, okay, I don't like that he did it, but it wasn't as bad as in the book for me. Okay. Yeah, so it was good to see what was going on outside of Matthew and Diana. Like, when you focus on all of them, you forget all the danger out there that's waiting for them. Because, like, you have an idea. Like, I think I said this before. You have an idea that those things are out there. The stakes are there. You can't see them in the book, but in the show, you can see it. You can feel it. You can feel the tension. There's tension there that's not there in the book. Also, you wouldn't get just how taboo they're pairing in the world without seeing the entire world of creatures negatively react to it. And I think, oh shoot, I got okay, here we go. Thought it was coming to the end. Um do-do-do-do. Did I talk? Okay, let's just skip to this because I know I talk about this. So other people that you see, come on up. Okay, so Jillian. In the book, she and Jillian weren't friends like they are on the TV. On the TV show, they seem a lot more friendly. Like when she needed um some advice, she ran to Jillian and she asked, she was trying to get help from Jillian. In the book, Jillian from jump was sent there to watch her by other witches. And Diana didn't notice at first, but she knew she didn't really she ain't mess with, she ain't mess with Jillian. She ain't fuck with her. And she really, and then when Diana started associating with Matthew, Jillian really started to get all up in her grill and was like, you should not be associating with this vampire. You should not have anything to do with him, and you should be helping us try to get that book back. And so Diana blew her off, and it was Jillian who told her in the middle of the library at Oxford that it was witches who killed her parents. Now, she didn't come out her mouth and say this, but everything she said basically led you to believe, oh, yeah, the witches killed your parents. This is why. See, this is exactly what happened to your parents, and it could happen to you. She was basically telling her that witches killed her parents while at the same time threatening that this was going to happen to her. And then later on, the pictures are sent to her, and she actually, yeah, she sees, yeah, the pictures are sent to her. She sees the pictures. Matthew takes her, and I think that's when he takes her to Septours, because she was so after she saw the pictures, because like the pictures are way more graphic in the book than they are on the TV show. In the book, like her father's entrails are out and on the ground. It's like they turned him almost inside out, and they sent pictures to her of the crime scene with him like that. So she was basically out of it. Matthew had to give her a sedative, and then when he flew her to France, he gave her another sedative on the plane. She was knocked out that whole trip. Um, I'm trying to see if there was anybody else. Do. Oh, I don't think I showed you Domenico. That is Domenico, the other vampire who is on. So the vampires, well, you know something? They in the show is Baldwin, and this is Baldwin, um, Domenico, and Gerbert, who are the vampires on the congregation. But again, like I said in the book, Matthew has no idea who else is on the congregation. It could be Baldwin. We don't know. Baldwin doesn't say. And like I said, this book is so in Matthew and Diana's world. We have, he could be on the congregation, and we just don't know if the congregation is supposed to be this secret society. Well, not secret society, but the secret, organization that runs all of the creatures' worlds, basically. Um, but I think I said, like, just like in the book, just like in the show, he was able to get Baldwin to do what he said because of the Knights of Lazarus. Uh, okay, another thing. It's also clearer in the book that it was because of Diana's parents that she was the only one who could call the Ashmole manuscript, Ashmole 782, into the library. Like it's clearer that her parents somehow put the spell on that book so that Diana would be the only one who could call it. And how they did it was when they bound Diana's magic, they didn't just bind it forever. It wasn't, and like in the TV show, they had it that she was bound And when Satu did what Satu did to her, that unbound her magic. But she technically wasn't unbound by Satu, and she's technically still bound in the book. She's still bound because her magic, it wasn't about them keeping her magic in. They did, because like Peter Knox was coming after them, and they had, I don't know, they had some vision of a witch having some really special powers. They knew it was their daughter, but they didn't, but they knew if they found out it was a daughter, they would take the daughter, they would do all these things with her. So they made them think it was her father, which is why they pulled out all his entrails and stuff like that. They did to him what Satu was doing to Diana, but they did it to him when he was dead. That's why they were looking inside of him, trying to find all the magic, trying to find the special magic that they thought he had. I don't know what they were going to do with it when they found it, but that's what they, so that's what Satu was trying to do to her, but ended up not killing her. But when they bound her magic, they bound it in a way so that no one could force her to do magic. No one could be like, bring back this manuscript, da 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 da. No one can make her do it. The magic comes to her when she needs it. So when she first called the manuscript, the Ashmole manuscript, it was because she needed it, because she was doing her alchemical research and she needed that manuscript. So it came to her. So the second time when she was like, okay, I'm just gonna get the manuscript and I'm gonna give it to Matthew, she didn't need it, so it didn't come. She wanted it, but she didn't need it. So she couldn't make it come because she didn't need it. So all of her magic is need based. When she needs something, that's when her magic will happen. And they did that, so they knew that a time was coming that she was going to meet Matthew, and that these people were going to be after her, and that she was going to need this manuscript. So they did that so that when she needed the manuscript, she can call on it. It's kind of clever. It was very clever. It was very clever of her parents. So it's going to be interesting to see how they deal with this in book 2, because like I said, in the show, they made it as her magic's unbound, she's this great witch now. But in the book, her magic is still bound, and she still can only use it as need. It has to be a need based. She can't do something because she wants to do it. She has to do something. It has to be something that she needs to do. So I am waiting on the second book. It's called Shadow of Night. It's going to coincide with season 2. Of course, I'm coming back after I read that to talk about Shadow of Night and season 2 of Discovery of Witches. But yeah, even though the book was more focused on Matthew, because like I saw the show first, of course, but even though the book was more focused on Matthew and Diana than it was in the show, I still liked both the same. I liked both the same. Both grabbed me the same. It was both held my interest. And I really am really looking forward to reading those next 2 books, because it's really really interesting. It's really grabbing. And by reading this book while I'm in the midst of writing a book myself, it really made me look at myself as a writer and analyze, okay, my writing, I realized that I am very much plot focused. I am all about the plot. I am very much plot motivated instead of character motivated. So I have to take time with my characters that I just wasn't in before. You was going from plot point to plot point to plot point, and I need to take some time with those characters. I don't know if I did it in this book, but we're gonna try. We're gonna try to do it moving forward. That's what we're gonna do. Okay. So, yeah. Okay. Oh, wow. We've been on 40 minutes talking about one season of the show. Glad I didn't do all three at once because that would have been 3 hours. Okay. So you can check the description for links to my book, this book right here, The Fairy Princess. So you can get a copy of the book. You can get merchandise related to the book um, at the link, and you can also get a link to the Fairy Princess Facebook group. We can talk about books. We can talk about like the same stuff I talk about on this channel, TV shows, movies, sci-fi, fantasy, action, those things. We can talk about whatever related to those things. Anything related to sci-fi, fantasy, action, whether it's books, TV, or movies, we can go there and talk about it. You can support my channel by subscribing, by liking the video, by donating through Ko-fi, Cash App. Oh, wait a minute. I think I have, hold up. I think I have a ticker. Where's my ticker? It's gone. I don't know where it is. Oh, here it is. Uh, yes, bam. So you can like and subscribe. You can donate. You can donate through Super Thanks. And also you can join my membership, but some of you have already been gifted my membership. So thanks again for gifting those memberships. Um, and also there is special fantasy nerd merch that you can get down at the bottom of, below the video, or there's a special store tab. There's a special store tab, where you can buy the Fantasy Nerd merch. And you can also check the description for my affiliate link to bookshop.org. So if you are like me and you like reading books, like if you, after you've watched a TV show based off of a book or a movie based off of a book, you want to read the book like I do, you can go there through my affiliate link and buy the book. And of course, I get a kickback for that. So, so there's that. Back to the chat, just in case. Okay, so that is all. I think I showed you guys all the pictures. Let me double check. I showed you. Oh, I didn't show you Marta. That's Marta. This is Isabeau's vampire maid. And these people, like Matthew is 1500 years old, and these people are older than him. Isabeau and Marta is older than him, but we don't know by how much. But they speak, they're so old, they don't speak the French we speak now. They speak an old version of French. So, and I think they, like, when you read the subtitles while you're watching the show, you can see them. They call it, like, I don't know how to pronounce it, Occitan or Occitan. It's either, I think it's Occitan. I don't know. I've never heard it. So it's either Occitan or Occitan. That's what they're speaking instead of just regular old French. But thank you guys for watching and checking it out. Come back. I'll be doing some more live streams, and I'll definitely be coming back after I finally get the book and read it, and we'll be moving on with season 2 of A Discovery of Witches and Shadow of Night. So thank you all. Bye bye.